So to give you a bit of information just about who we are, Boston Partners in Education has been around since 1966. And since 1966, we have worked to recruit, train, and support volunteer academic mentors to work directly with BPS students and teachers in public school classrooms. Our programs have pretty much always been and continue to be exclusively for Boston Public School students. All of our volunteer mentors commit to at least 1 hour a week working with a student or students for the duration of the school year, and they volunteer on the same day and the same time each week. So they are consistently setting aside a time to work with a student. So who are our mentors? We recruit academic mentors from all walks of life, as the slide says. We have college students who volunteer with us. We have people who are currently employed, like businesses, other nonprofits, doctors, like truly all different professions. We also have a lot of retirees who work with us as well, and especially lots of retired teachers. All of our academic mentors are interviewed individually, and they must pass a Boston Public School CORI check, or a criminal background check, and sign confidentiality NDAs, meaning that they won't share anything about the student that they're working with outside of their contacts within BPS or with the student's family. We also work to provide training for our volunteers on supporting their students both academically and social emotionally. In addition to these screening points that I've listed, we also provide monthly check-ins with our mentors. We provide them with supplemental development sessions and workshops, and we provide them with subject and grade specific resources that they can work with throughout the year. So our independent learning support program, which I mentioned is new this year, is available for students in grades 5 through 12. And as I said earlier, this gives parents and guardians the option to request support for their BPS student. Students can receive support in any subject area, so math, ELA, science, history, and they work with their academic mentor outside of class time. So this can be early afternoon through evening hours and on Saturdays as well. Families can choose to either monitor the mentoring session themselves, maybe just sitting in the same room while it's happening, or if that is outside of the family's capacity, Boston Partners can also assign another volunteer to proctor each session, and we train these proctors on how to ensure the safety of all participants involved. So a few different reasons why students might benefit from working with a mentor. If students have knowledge gaps, speak English as a second language, if students just would benefit from extra attention, both in or outside of the classroom, if they are lacking confidence in a certain subject area, that can be a really big reason why a student would benefit from working with a mentor. They're lacking motivation about a certain subject, if they have advanced skills and actually are in need of more of a challenge. So they finish their classwork really quickly, their homework really quickly, and could just use a bit more of a challenge or more stimulation. And lastly, I mean, the reason why we really created this program is for students who are struggling with remote learning. It is not easy for students or teachers right now, and we really do want this program to serve as an additional resource for students, for families, and teachers who feel that students could use additional support outside of class time. So if you are interested in nominating your student for support, please visit our website, bostonpartners.org, and there is a section where you can nominate your student. My colleague Eva, who is our tech support tonight, can also put that link in the chat, and I can share that in a minute as well. I will note that for our ILS program, students do need to be in grades 5 through 12, and they must attend a Boston public school. If they attend a BPS school and are in grades lower than 5, you can speak to your student's teacher about them getting in-class support that their teacher can request. And one of our volunteers can then work with them during class time. So I see that many folks have joined us since I started the presentation. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute just to see how things are going. Hi, everybody. Wow, so many more people since I shared my screen. Eva, are there any questions in the chat that I should be answering?
We had one question that said, can they receive support with reading as well if a child is struggling? Yes, I answered that one. Yes, the student can receive support with reading. And then someone wants to know, will the slide deck be shared?
Yes, so when we wrap up tonight, I will be sending out the slide deck and any additional information you might need about the programs. To answer a question that just came in, if a parent is not able to complete the nomination form, yes, a teacher or family liaison can enter the form. But Eva, I do believe that you need a parent's signature on the form technically. Is that correct?
Yeah, you do need a parent's or guardian signature. You know, really whoever is the guardian for the child. We do need an electronic signature for that. So that could be forwarding, like if you put in their email address as the contact on that form, it will email them the form that they need to e-sign, and you can walk them through that.
Thank you. So to look at other questions that are coming in, yes, you can. Oh, so the timeline in terms of once we receive your nomination, we have a long list of volunteers who are kind of standing by, ready to support students to be matched with students this year. So we will get them matched with a student who's been nominated pretty much as quickly as possible. Sometimes it can be like the next day, but we try to do it within a week or so, especially for our ILS nominations.
We have a couple more questions. So one parent said that they did nominate their son for one subject, but saw his report card and thought he would benefit from reading as well. Can I go back and add reading to that?
Yes, that's a great question. So I would say if you want to send either me or Eva, who's labeled as tech support, a private message on our Zoom chat so that, and give us the name of your student who you nominated, we can actually go in and change their nomination form to include that updated information. And to repeat which subject or what subject areas students can receive support in, it can be English or ELA, history, science classes, math classes, really any subject area that your student could use support in.
We have another question from Val Davino, which I actually believe that I've been in contact with you, so I can email you after this, but we can figure out a way to get tutors to work with students in schools during school hours. I could send you an email after this if it's still your BPS email.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. And then Isabel is saying that she works in a school and her students are English learners. Are there native language support for specific subjects? Go ahead.
Thank you, Eva. Yes, we have volunteers who speak all different languages, lots of volunteers who speak Spanish, Chinese, Mandarin specifically. Haitian Creole, Portuguese. So definitely when you're submitting the nomination form, if you're hoping that they can work with someone in a specific language that they might be your student's first language, definitely indicate that, and we can try to match them with someone who also speaks that language. So to go over our nomination process again, I am going to share in the chat right now the link to our nomination form. This takes you directly to our website, and you can fill out the form. It shouldn't take more than 3 minutes or so. And once you click the submit button, we will get it into our system and work to match your student over the next week or so. Students work with their academic mentors typically for 1 hour a week. If they would benefit from more support each week, that's definitely possible. And our expectation of our volunteers is that they commit to working with the student for the duration of the school year. So that would be through June when the school year ends. Essentially, as long as your student is in need of support, we want our volunteers to commit to supporting them.
Claire, it looks like a parent is wondering, they're wondering about the programs that are available to students that are not in 5th grade through 12th grade. So this is a first grader, so they wouldn't qualify for ILS, but you could let her know about the other programs you have
Yes,
available.
so for students under 5th grade, we have, excuse me, we have in-class support available through our volunteers. And if you speak to your student's teacher about getting them that support, they can send in a nomination. This ILS program that I'm talking about is specifically for after school or outside of school support. And the reason why it does start at 5th grade is because there is an expectation that students are able to share their screen with their mentor, share their classwork, like electronic copies with them. And that can be difficult for students that are really young in age. But that being said, we absolutely want all students to get support. So if they are under 5th grade, we definitely encourage you to reach out to your student's teacher and work with them to nominate the student. And we can send you more information about that as well.
And then Valdivino would like to know, do you have tutors that can work with students with disabilities?
Yes, so we have specifically some mentors who are special education students, teachers, or retired teachers. And if you're interested in your student receiving support, I would say just specify on the nomination form whether the student is on the autism spectrum, if the student has ADHD, just so we can work to match them with a mentor who understands the student's needs and will be able to support them.
Claire, I don't know if you would like to do this, but we did get a lot of new people. So I don't know if you want to quickly go through the slides one more time if everyone wants to stay on it, you know.
Or do you want to ask again, Claire, if anyone?
Yes. Yeah. So yes, we've had a ton of people join us. Thank you all for joining us. For those of you who have been here since 6 o'clock, if you have any additional questions, please put them in the chat, or Eva can put our emails in the chat so you can reach out to us. But I would love to go through our PowerPoint again, just to make sure everybody has all the information you might need. I also do want to ask for the new folks who have joined us tonight. My good friend Judy is here to provide Spanish interpretation. If that would be beneficial for you, please just put in the chat, raise your hand so that we know whether we should be utilizing her while she is here. But we are.
Si hay quien necesita traducción a español, por favor nos avise otra vez a la mano o escribirlo en chat.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, I'm not seeing anything, but we also, all of our slides are in Spanish, so when we send those out, you'll have access to the information in Spanish as well. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. we go. So again, to welcome everybody, my name is Claire. Thank you for joining us tonight. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator at Boston Partners, and I am joined by my colleague Eva MacDuff, who is one of our partnerships managers at the organization. Boston Partners in Education has been around since 1966, and we work to recruit, train, and support volunteer academic mentors to work with students and teachers directly in Boston Public School classrooms. Our programs have been in the past and still are exclusively for Boston Public Schools and Boston Public School students. What we ask of our volunteers is that they commit at least 1 hour a week for the duration of the school year to work supporting students, and that they volunteer on the same day and at the same time each week, creating a consistent schedule. So our academic mentors come from all walks of life. Our one requirement, which I actually forgot to mention earlier, is that you must have a connection to the Boston area. So whether you grew up here, whether you currently live here, attend college here, this is something that we ask all of our volunteers. All of our academic mentors are interviewed individually to make sure that they're a good fit with our programs. They have to complete a Boston Public Schools criminal background check, as well as sign confidentiality non-disclosure agreements, meaning that any information they learn about your student will remain confidential and between Boston Public Schools, the family, and the mentor. And we also require that all of our volunteers receive training on how to properly support a student, both academically and more emotionally. Our mentors also receive monthly check-ins from the organization just to see how things are going, see if we can help support them in any way. We invite them to monthly development sessions and workshops that we offer, and we provide them throughout the year with subject-specific and grade level specific resources. So our independent learning support program, ILS, which is our nickname for it, is specifically for students in grades 5 through 12. This program, for the first time ever, gives parents and guardians the option to nominate students to receive additional support beyond the classroom. These students can receive support in any subject area, so math, ELA or English, science, history. This does go all the way through advanced math subjects, so calculus, statistics. We have people ready to support students in those subjects. And families can decide whether they will supervise each session, so maybe being in the same room as the student, or if that is beyond your capacity, we completely understand, and we are able to provide another volunteer to serve as a proctor for each session. And we train them to make sure that they can ensure the safety of all participants on the call. So students who might benefit from working with mentors, it's possible they have knowledge gaps in certain subject areas, or potentially it's felt like they have continued to be working on catching up since schools went remote back in March 2020. Perhaps your student speaks English as a second language. They generally just benefit from a bit of extra attention in the classroom, outside of the classroom. It's possible they just lack confidence in a subject area or are really unmotivated about a certain subject area. We also work to support students who are advanced in certain subject areas and are actually in need of more of a challenge, a bit more stimulation if they're finishing their classwork or their homework really quickly. And lastly, we created this program with remote learning in mind to really work to support any and all students who are struggling with remote learning this year. So if you feel that your student would benefit from support, and if they are in grades 5 through 12 attending a Boston public school, we will put in the chat again the link to our nomination form. And you can also access this on our website. It's specifically called our independent learning support form because that is the form that's available to parents and guardians. And we will also be sending this out to you when we finish our info session tonight. So again, I will stop sharing my screen and see if there are more questions that have come in. Eva, is there anything I should work on answering?
Just someone, no, I'm saying I've gotten a couple direct messages, but I don't see anything directed at everyone. Can you just reiterate that if they're younger, than grade 5, that there are still programs available, and even if they're above grade 5, in high school, they're in school programs available?
We offer in-class support from our volunteers for students in pre-K through 12th grades. The difference between that and the program I'm specifically telling you all about is for pre-K through 12 in-class support, teachers or maybe a school counselor is the one who needs to be submitting the nomination form. If you would like your student to receive outside of school support, then you can send in the nomination form yourself, and this will take place again outside of school hours. But if your student falls outside of the 5 through 12 window, or if you just think they would benefit from in-class support, absolutely reach out to the student's teacher and they will be able to submit the form. And if you need more information about that, definitely reach out to us and we can make sure to give you all the information you might need to get your student in-class support. Are there any other questions? I see folks are starting to head out, but I want to make sure everybody's questions are answered.
No questions in the chat so far.
Okay. So I am going to put in the chat just one last time our nomination form, and we will make sure to also send this out to you when we wrap up tonight, and you'll all get this information written in an email in addition to in the chat right now.
We do have a question. Sella said, so when is this starting?
Yes, so you can enter into our website nomination tonight, and we will receive that nomination tonight and work starting tomorrow to find a mentor to work with that student. So there's no start date. Our hope is just to continue getting these nominations over the next few weeks, and we will work to assign our patiently waiting volunteers to students who are in need of support.
And this will be every week until school ends.
Yes.
So until the school year ends in June, they'll be meeting with them.
Any final questions before we wrap up? We're coming up on 6:30. Yes, I think we can start to close out. So for those of you still here, thank you all for coming to our info session tonight. I hope this was informative. We really hope that you submit nominations for your students and we can get them any additional support they might benefit from this school year and in the future. But I hope everybody has a great night, and we'll be sending out more information about next steps.
Someone is asking if I also want my child to learn Spanish. Can someone help him with Spanish?
That's a great question. Eva, do you know the answer to that?
Yeah, so we do have language is definitely an option. We don't get it as often, but it is an option on the form if they need language support, as far as like, say they're learning Spanish or they're in French class and learning French and they need someone who is a native speaker or is just, fluent in French, or Spanish. That is totally an option and we can make that happen.
Thank you, Eva. Okay, well, we'll stay on for another few minutes if you have any final questions, but if not, Thank you all for joining us tonight. We'll be reaching out to you with more information, but we hope everybody has a great evening.